Just another night shift that got weird. This happened 2 years ago when I was working part-time security at a grocery store in upstate New York. Small town place, nothing fancy. I clock in at 10 p.m. and stay until 6. The store closed at 11, and after that it was just me and the parking lot. Most nights were quiet. Sometimes I'd have to tell a couple teenagers to move along or deal with a car alarm going off. That was about it. But this one week, it started on a Tuesday. I remember because it had been raining most of the day, and everything still smelled like wet pavement. At around 11:45 p.m., I saw headlights pull into the far end of the lot. Old car, one of those long, boxy sedans from the 90s. Brownish or gray. Hard to tell under the parking lights. The car didn't park in the usual spots. It just sort of eased up near the edge by the chain link fence and sat there. Lights off. Engine still running. I gave it about 15 minutes, then walked over. Not real close, just enough to be seen. Didn't get a reaction. Windows were tinted. I couldn't see much inside, but I knew someone was there. I called out, "Store's closed, sir. You all right?" No response. Not even a flicker of movement. Eventually, I just walked back to the office. Figured maybe he just needed a place to sit for a bit. Didn't seem drunk or dangerous, just still. But he didn't leave. He stayed there until 3:17 a.m. I know because I logged it in the incident sheet, thinking maybe management would want to know. They didn't. Next morning, the day shift guy laughed and said maybe he just needed a nap. I didn't think much of it either. Until the next night. Same car. Same spot. Same time. 11:45 p.m. Lights off, engine running. Just sitting there. This time I walked a little closer. Still couldn't see inside, but the shape of someone was there, head angled slightly, like they were watching me. I didn't say anything. Something about it just felt off. It's hard to explain. It wasn't what he was doing, it was what he wasn't doing. No movement, no acknowledgement, no purpose. It was like watching a paused movie. Only, I was pretty sure he was watching me. He stayed until after 2 again. Then just drove off slowly, without a word. By night 3, I was already uneasy. And that's when things changed. This time, he didn't park at the far end. He pulled into a spot directly across from the security office. The little booth we kept near the center of the lot. Facing it. Headlights off. Engine on. I shut off the indoor lights to try and see clearer. Still couldn't make out his face. But the car was definitely running. I stepped outside and walked halfway across the lot. Tried waving my flashlight a bit. Nothing. Not even the flick of a finger on the steering wheel. Just that engine hum and the shape of someone sitting there. I went back inside and called the non-emergency police line. They said they'd send someone over. Took 15 minutes. When they showed up, the car was gone. No sign of it pulling out. No taillights. Just gone. The officer took my statement but didn't seem concerned. Probably just someone dealing with stuff. Night's quiet. Lots of people just need a place to think. I didn't argue, but it didn't feel like that. There was no thinking, no processing. That man hadn't moved once in 3 nights, and now he knew where I sat. I tried to brush it off. Stayed inside the booth the next night. Kept the door locked. Didn't see the car. Didn't see anything, actually. No visitors. No teens. Not even a delivery truck early. It was still. Too still. I got off my shift at 6. just like always. Drove home tired and trying not to think about it. I got a call from the store manager around noon, asked me if I'd stopped by again after my shift. I told him no. He said someone had slipped a piece of paper under the booth door. Didn't sign it, didn't say much. Just a sentence. Handwritten in shaky, all caps ink. I know your schedule. That was it. No date. No explanation. Just those words. I drove back to see it myself. They still had the note. I don't know how to explain it, but the way it was written made my stomach turn. Like whoever did it wasn't trying to scare me. They were reminding me. Like it wasn't a threat. It was a fact. I quit 2 days later. Didn't even finish the week. The manager didn't argue. I heard they installed new cameras in the lot a few months later. Not because of what happened to me. Some kid vandalized a couple carts and they finally got budget approval. No one ever brought up the car again. And as far as I know, no one ever saw it after that night. But sometimes I still think about the sound of that engine. The way it rumbled low, never changing. Like it wasn't really idling, just waiting. I don't know who he was, or what he wanted. But I'll tell you this, he didn't need to follow me home. Because from the way he watched, I think he already knew where I lived. My name's James. I'm 56, retired from the Lubbock PD about 5 years ago. These days, I work nights, part-time security at a gas station just off Highway 84. There's nothing fancy. One of those 24-hour places with too many flickering lights and not enough customers. Truth is, I like the quiet. After 30 years of chaos, it's the kind of silence you learn to appreciate. Most nights are dead slow. A couple late-night truckers, 1 or 2 drunk college kids stopping for energy drinks or smokes. That's about it. But then, about 3 months ago, something started happening. Same time, same way. Always 2:43 a.m. That's when I first noticed it. A white pickup truck parked across the highway. Didn't see it arrive. Didn't see it leave. Just sitting there, lights off, right at the edge of the field. Facing the station. Didn't think much of it the first time. Maybe a trucker catching a nap. But the next night, it was there again. Same spot. Same time. 2:43 on the dot. And the night after that. Never moved. Didn't even look like anyone was inside. First, I figured it was coincidence. But after a week, I couldn't shake the feeling. I started checking the security cam footage, just out of curiosity. Nothing. No sign of it pulling in. No headlights. No movement. But if I walked out and looked across the road, there it was. Always just sitting there. By the second week, it started getting under my skin. 30 years on the force, I've seen plenty of weirdos and creeps. But this felt different. It wasn't threatening. It was quiet. Too quiet. So one night, I decided to check it out. It was a Tuesday. Cold. Dry air that sticks to your lungs. I waited until 2:43. Watched the clock tick over. And right on time, I saw it again. White pickup, just barely visible under the moonlight. No lights, no driver. I grabbed my flashlight and crossed the highway. Took my time walking up to it. Didn't want to spook anyone. If there was anyone, the engine was off. No sound, no movement. But when I got closer, I noticed something that stopped me cold. The hood was warm. Not hot, not overheating, but warm. Like it had just been running a few minutes ago. But the cab was dark. Windows slightly fogged. I tapped on the driver's side window. No response. I stepped back, opened the door. It was unlocked, and the seat was empty. But what really got me was the passenger side. It was full of toys, kids' stuff, plastic dinosaurs, a juice box, a baby blanket with faded cartoon characters, all just sitting there, like someone had packed for a road trip and never got out. No car seat, though. No wallet. No registration. Just toys. I called it in like I'm trained to do. Told dispatch everything, gave them the plates. Sheriff's office came and had the truck towed. I stayed until they cleared the scene. No one said much to me, just that they'd follow up. I didn't think about it for a few days, until I got a call the following week. It was one of my old buddies still with the department. Said that truck matched the description from a missing persons case. A woman and her 2 kids disappeared 3 counties over. Vanished off the grid about 6 months ago. They'd been looking ever since. And somehow, their truck ended up across from my gas station. At 2:43 a.m. every single night. What bothers me most isn't the case itself. I mean, tragic, yeah, but I've seen worse. What keeps me up, what gets into my bones, is this one question. Why did that truck only show up on my shift? There are 3 other guards who rotate weekends and early weekdays. None of them ever saw it. Security footage shows nothing. But every night I was there, that white pickup sat across the road. Same time, same spot, staring right at me. I've gone back through the camera feeds dozens of times since. Not once do I see it arrive or leave. The night after it was towed, I thought that would be the end of it. But around a week later, I kid you not, I woke up in a cold sweat, middle of the day, and I knew what time it was. Checked the clock beside my bed. 2:43 p.m. Exactly 12 hours later. Nothing weird happened, but I couldn't breathe right for hours. Since then, I quit the night shift, told them my sleep schedule was messed up, but that was just an excuse. The truth is, I didn't want to see it again. Didn't want to feel like I was being chosen, because that's what it felt like. That truck wasn't random. It was waiting for someone, or maybe showing itself to someone who'd understand. I never found out what happened to that woman or her kids. I stopped asking. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't driven that stretch of Highway 84 since. I take the long way now, even if it adds 30 minutes, because there's something about that time. 2:43. That doesn't feel like it belongs to the rest of the night. It feels like something else takes over then, something that watches. When I got offered a night security position out on a new construction site near Bakersfield, I figured, why not? Empty lot, decent hourly, no customers breathing down my neck. Sounded like peace. That first night, I remember thinking it felt too quiet. The site was huge. Half-built warehouses, a couple tall skeletal frames, rebar sticking out like ribs. Most of it was still dirt and concrete slabs. My job was to do perimeter checks every hour, log any movement, and call dispatch if anything felt off. Nothing did. At least not until night 3. I was walking the eastern perimeter around 2:30 a.m. when I saw someone. A man. Inside one of the unfinished buildings. He had on a hard hat and a reflective vest, so for a second, I just assumed he was supposed to be there. But it didn't sit right with me. Nobody else had been on site since I clocked in. I called out, "Hey, you good in there?" He turned his head slightly. Not all the way. just enough to let me know he heard me. Then he walked off deeper into the shadows. I radioed it in. My supervisor sounded half asleep. Said the only active crews were daytime, no subs scheduled. Could have been someone passing through, he mumbled. Probably just a homeless guy. I didn't like that answer, but I also didn't go looking for the guy. I was new and technically unarmed. We were just supposed to observe and report. That's it. So I wrote it up, flagged the log, and finished my shift. The next night, I told myself it had just been a fluke. Maybe my mind was still in mechanic mode, jumpy, overworked, expecting problems. But right around the same time, 2:30, give or take, I saw him again. Same vest, same hard hat. This time, he wasn't in the structure. He was closer, standing just outside one of the porta-johns like he'd just stepped out. I approached slow, kept my voice calm. Hey, buddy, you lost or something? He looked at me for the first time. Pale skin, sunken cheeks. Not dirty, not exactly, just washed out, like someone who hadn't seen daylight in a long time. He said, looking for the foreman. I blinked. There's no one scheduled tonight. You sure you're at the right site? He didn't answer, just turned around and walked toward the back of the lot, into the darker part where the lights hadn't been wired yet. I didn't follow. I made another report, called my supervisor again. He told me I was doing fine, said it was probably a subcontractor who didn't get the memo. Long as he's not damaging anything, he said, don't escalate it, right? But I started parking closer to the trailers after that. Kept my flashlight in hand the whole time. On night 5, I came prepared. Brought my old mechanic's wrench from the truck and tucked it in my jacket, just in case. Around 2:40, I did a slow sweep near the eastern scaffolding. No sign of him at first, but when I turned around, he was just standing there, not 5 feet from me. No sound, no footsteps, just there. I jumped back, damn near dropped my light. He didn't move, didn't say anything, just stared. And then calmly he said, they told me I could come back. Said the foreman wouldn't be here. I froze. Every part of my brain screamed to get out of there. But something in his voice, it didn't sound threatening. It sounded confused, like he believed what he was saying. I pulled out my phone and snapped a picture, quickly, without asking. He didn't react, just turned and started walking again, back toward the rebar frames. That's when I noticed it. His boots weren't leaving tracks. The dirt was soft from a sprinkler earlier that evening. My own footprints were deep, but his, nothing. I finished the shift in my truck, locked inside. I didn't even do the last 2 patrols. Just waited for the sun. Next morning, I sent the photo to HR. Didn't say much. Just asked if he was part of a crew I hadn't been told about. Didn't take long to get a call back. A woman from the head office sounded rattled. She said the man in the photo was Miles R., former framing contractor. He'd been fired 4 months ago after threatening a supervisor with a nail gun. Apparently, he'd snapped during an argument over missing pay. HR had to escort him off the site. Police were nearly called. He was blacklisted. Not only that, but they said he'd never been issued current site credentials. No access badge. No gate code. And yet he'd been inside. I asked to see the security footage. I don't know why. Maybe part of me hoped it was just a prank. But no. The cameras showed him, clear as day, walking past motion lights, standing in places I'd seen him. Always around 2:30, always alone. But here's the part that really messed me up. Sometimes the footage would glitch when he passed. Not static, not digital lag, just this weird blip, like the frame skipped and he'd be a few feet further ahead. And the gates, always locked. No forced entry. No badge swipes. No prints. They don't know how he was getting in. The company told me not to talk about it, said it was being handled. They moved me to another site after that, way smaller, just a storage lot. But sometimes right around 2:30 in the morning, I still get that feeling, like someone's watching me from just out of frame, waiting to be let back in. Because maybe he never really left.